Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Mm.
This time, this time we're taking a look at something a little different.
A little bit different, yeah.
Yeah, ceremonial magic.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be looking at some excerpts from a book
Okay.
just called Ceremonial Magic.
Straightforward.
Yeah, straight to the point.
Yeah.
And this book basically talks all about, different rituals and practices
Right.
that people would use to supposedly command spirits or uncover hidden treasures or even control the elements.
I mean, if they could, that would be pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think so.
It's pretty wild stuff.
It's interesting, though, because it reads almost like a how-to manual.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like they genuinely believed that you could just follow these steps and actually manipulate these forces and kind of bend reality to your will.
So like a step-by-step guide to
magic.
To magic.
Yeah, it's a window into a time when people actually believe that you could do this.
That's so interesting.
Well, I guess I'm curious, like, what were they hoping to achieve
Sure.
through all these rituals?
Well, the book talks about some pretty common aspirations, I think things we've always been interested in.
Okay.
Wealth,
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
invisibility, power over other people.
That's a good one.
Yeah, even prolonging life.
Oh, wow.
So you could almost say it's like a wish list, a very human wish list.
It is kind of a wish list, yeah.
And these things have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Think about myths and legends and
Sure.
religious practices. They all kind of revolve around these same desires. Or
It's true, yeah. You see those same themes pop up
Mm-hmm.
over and over again.
Absolutely.
But it is pretty interesting that they didn't just, wish for these things. They developed all these systems
intricate.
and rituals.
Yeah, it's not like they were messing around.
Right.
They really believed
Right.
that they could make these things a reality.
Wow.
And that's what I think is so fascinating about this, is they weren't just kind of like, oh, I wish I had more money. They were like, here are the steps that I need to take
Right, exactly, yeah.
to actually get that.
Exactly. It wasn't passive. It was very active.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of taking action,
Sure.
you mentioned that they had these tools and these practices.
Right.
What are some of the things that they were using?
Well, some of it's pretty out there.
Okay.
I mean, you really get the sense they believed in this stuff
Oh, wow.
when you see what they were willing to do.
Okay.
There's one that I thought was pretty interesting.
Oh, wait.
It's called a blasting rod.
A blasting rod. What is that?
So you have to imagine a hazel wand,
Okay.
but it's cut under very specific conditions.
Okay.
And sometimes it's even stained with the blood of a sacrificed animal.
Whoa.
And they would use that to...
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, it is.
So they use that to, what, compel the spirits?
Compel the spirits, yeah, to do their bidding.
Oh, wow.
And you can't help but think about,
Yeah.
the power that they must have given to these objects.
It's like imbuing them with meaning.
With meaning, with power.
And power.
Yeah, it's like the object itself
Oh.
becomes this kind of conduit,
Right.
the supernatural.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what else? What other tools are we talking about here?
Well, there's the magic circle.
Okay.
That you've probably heard of, which is basically it's drawn with
Yeah.
all these symbols
Right.
and specific materials.
Yeah.
And it was meant to protect the magician
Right.
from the entities that they were summoning.
So they were aware of the danger.
Yes, very much so.
Wow.
It's like they were
They were playing a dangerous game.
playing a very dangerous game.
Yeah.
They knew the stakes were high.
Wow. And I'm also seeing here that they use virgin parchment.
Yes.
What is that?
So this is parchment
Okay.
that's made from sacrificed animals.
Oh, wow.
And they would use it for writing pacts and incantations.
I mean, the level of detail here is just,
It's incredible.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It shows you how much they really believed
Right, exactly.
what they were doing.
Yeah, they weren't just, messing around with this stuff. This
Yeah.
was very serious to them.
This was their life.
Yeah, so it wasn't just about, the tools or the words or whatever.
Right.
It sounds like there was something more to it.
Right.
So what else was involved in all of this?
Well, there's this concept that they call personal consecration.
Personal consecration.
Yeah. And that was a really big deal.
Okay, so it wasn't just about casting spells.
No, it was about the magician themselves.
Oh, okay.
They believed that the magician's inner state,
Okay.
their spiritual purity,
Right.
was actually essential
Wow.
for these rituals to work.
So, like, their mindset. Their
Mindset, their intention going into it.
intention, and also, like, the steps that they took to prepare themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the book talks about these really strict rules.
Like what kind of rules?
Well, fasting, isolation, abstinence,
Wow.
All these things were designed to purify and prepare the magician.
I mean, could you imagine
I don't know.
that level of dedication?
Hugely intense.
It's intense.
Yeah. It's a far cry from
what we do today.
Yeah, our kind of quick fixes.
Exactly. Yeah, like instant gratification.
Yeah, I want it now.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
But I wonder if that level of commitment, that willingness to sacrifice,
Right.
maybe even that's part of what made them believe that it could work.
Yeah, like maybe that played into it.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, if you dedicate yourself that much,
Yeah.
you're going to be pretty invested
Exactly.
in the outcome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we also have to talk about, I guess this is where things get a little
dark.
A little dark.
Yeah.
The pacts with demons.
Right. So this is the idea.
Just like the classic.
Yeah, the classic idea that you could bargain with powerful entities to get what you want.
But of course, there's always a price.
Oh, there's always a price.
Yeah, nothing's free.
Nothing's free, especially when it comes to magic.
Especially when you're dealing with demons, right?
Right, exactly.
So the book actually talks about these pacts.
Yeah, it gets pretty specific.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it describes, like, different hierarchies of spirits.
Oh, wow.
Each with its own, powers and its own price.
Like, what are we talking about here? Give me some examples.
Well, there's one called Lucifuge Rofacal.
Okay.
And he's supposed to grant you riches.
Okay, so that's one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Wealth.
But he wants a 20-year contract.
Oh, 20 years.
That's a long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then there's another one, Aemon.
Okay.
And he's described as this, like, fearsome wolf.
Okay.
With a serpent's head.
Whoa.
Vomiting flames.
That sounds pretty terrifying.
Yeah, but apparently he can also take a more pleasing form.
Oh, okay, so he's got options.
He's got options.
Well, that's interesting. So it's like this mix of fear and fascination.
Absolutely.
Like, were these beings supposed to be feared?
Yeah.
Or respected?
I think it's probably both.
Both, yeah. It's a very interesting dynamic.
It is.
And it makes you think about the mindset of these magicians who were trying to control them. Like, what was their perspective?
Yeah. Did they think these entities were just purely evil? Or was there some element of, like, awe or reverence?
Right. A good question.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's talk about how they actually put all this into practice.
Okay.
What did a typical summoning ritual look like?
Well, the book paints a pretty vivid picture. So you have to imagine a secluded location.
Okay, like a secret spot.
Yeah, the secret spot, probably dimly lit with candles.
Yeah.
And the air is thick with incense.
Oh, wow.
And you've got the magicians standing there in their robes inside this magic circle.
Yeah.
Chanting incantations, drawing these intricate symbols.
Wow, so it's all very dramatic.
Oh, very dramatic.
It's almost like a scene from a movie.
Yeah, it is. It's very cinematic.
Yeah.
You can really feel the intensity of their belief.
So they're really going all in on this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that this is just one part of a much bigger picture.
Exactly. This is just one aspect of this world.
Yeah. A very complex world.
Well, so far we've been talking about, summoning benevolent spirits.
Right.
But there's also this other side to the practice.
The dark side.
The darker side, yeah.
What they call black magic.
Yeah. And, of course, we're not endorsing any of this.
No, of course not.
We're just, reporting what's in the book.
Just telling you what's in there.
Yeah. But, yeah, the book describes some pretty unsettling rituals.
It does.
We're talking about things like, trying to inflict harm or manipulating people.
Yeah, things you don't want to mess with.
No.
Yeah.
And even, like, trying to bind spirits.
Yeah, against their will.
Against their will, yeah.
That's where things get a little dicey.
Yeah, so this really brings up the question of ethics.
Yeah, where do you draw the line?
Right.
Between, seeking power and actually causing harm.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we need to think about carefully.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a complex issue.
It is. It is.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if they ever thought twice about what they were doing.
Right.
Like, did they ever have any second thoughts about, messing with these forces?
Yeah. Were there any consequences that they were worried about?
Right, exactly. Like, what if it backfires?
What if it backfires, yeah.
What if you unleash something that you can't control?
Right.
And the book actually goes into some detail about the different types of black magic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And some of this stuff is pretty creepy.
Okay. Like what?
Like, they talk about making wax effigies to curse people. Yeah. And concocting these powders of fascination.
Powders of fascination? What are those?
Yeah, so these were supposed to make someone fall in love with you.
Oh, so like a love potion.
Yeah, love potion.
Wow.
Um, and I mean, that sounds pretty risky to me.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like, what if it doesn't work right? Or
Right.
what if it works too well
Yeah, exactly.
and you're stuck with someone who's obsessed with you?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like true love.
It doesn't sound very healthy.
Not at all.
No.
But I guess it makes you wonder what was driving them.
Yeah, were they just desperate?
Desperate. Yeah.
Like, did they feel like this was their only option?
Right. Like maybe they felt like they had no other choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like maybe conventional methods had failed them.
And they were willing to try anything.
Yeah, they were at their wits' end.
It's interesting, though, that even in their desperation,
Mm-hmm.
they still went about these rituals with so much care and precision.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it wasn't just,
Uh,
haphazardly throwing things together.
No, this was very carefully planned out.
Like they had a system.
They had a system. They believed in the system.
Right. It wasn't just random.
It was almost like they were scientists.
Right. Yeah, like they were experimenting.
Yeah, experimenting with these different elements and ingredients.
And trying to figure out, the right formula
Exactly.
to get what they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were very specific about the details.
Oh, really? Like what kind of details?
Well, for example, when they would conjure a spirit, they wouldn't just do it any old time.
They would pick a specific time.
Very specific time of day, specific day of the week.
Wow.
Even the type of incense that they burned mattered.
Oh, wow.
The color of their robes, everything was very symbolic
Oh.
and intentional.
So they were like trying to align themselves with
Yeah, with the cosmos.
the cosmos.
With the forces of the universe.
So that it's almost like they thought that if they got all the details right,
Hmm.
then it would work.
Yeah, like they were decoding some kind of celestial code.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they could just crack that code,
They could unlock these powers.
then they could control these powers.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've been dancing around this a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we have to talk about the pact with the devil.
The big one.
The big one. Yeah, this is like the classic image.
Yeah, it's the ultimate deal with the devil.
Yeah, so what does the book say about this?
Well, it doesn't shy away from it.
Okay.
It actually lays out the steps
Oh, really?
on how to summon a demon
Whoa.
and how to offer your soul in exchange for
Riches and power, yeah.
riches and power, yeah.
Wow.
And the language that they use is
Chilling.
chilling.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Very intense. It's
Yeah.
like you can almost feel the darkness
Yeah.
seeping out of the pages.
So they weren't just, messing around with this stuff.
No, this was serious business.
This was like life or death.
Yeah. And they knew the risks.
Right, they knew it was dangerous.
They knew it was dangerous.
But they were still willing to take that risk
Wow.
because the potential rewards were so great.
Yeah, the allure of that power.
The allure of power.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
It's very strong.
Yeah,
And it's something that we still struggle with today.
that's true. Yeah.
That temptation to take shortcuts or to make deals.
Right, or to compromise our morals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For the sake of getting what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the book talks about like how to break a pact.
It does, yeah.
Like if you change your mind,
Like if you regret it.
yeah, you regret it.
Which is interesting, right?
It is interesting.
Because it suggests that some people did change their minds.
Right, they realized they'd made a mistake.
Yeah, and they wanted out.
Yeah.
And there were even instructions on how to seek forgiveness.
Really.
Yeah.
So even in this world of magic and demons,
Mm-hmm.
there was still this idea of
Right. Of morality.
morality.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
consequences.
And consequences, right?
But you couldn't just do whatever you wanted. There were still rules.
There were still rules, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's just switch gears a little
That's
bit
right.
and talk about something that maybe is a little less sinister.
Okay.
Necromancy.
Ah, yes, the art of talking to the dead.
Yeah, this is something that's always fascinated people.
It has.
This idea that you could actually communicate
Mm-hmm.
with the spirits of those who's passed on.
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't wondered
Right.
if it's possible?
Yeah, to connect with loved ones.
Or to learn secrets
Or to learn secrets.
from
See-
beyond the grave.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So what does the book say about necromancy?
Well, it actually goes into some detail about the rituals,
Okay.
like how to perform them.
Yeah, like what kind of things did they do?
Well, it involved things like sacrificed animals
Oh, wow.
and consecrated circles
Okay.
and even exhuming corpses.
Oh, that's a little creepy.
Yeah, that's a little intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess that shows you how serious they were.
Right. They really believed that this was possible.
They were willing to go to great lengths.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't just some parlor trick.
No, this was real magic.
Yeah, this was real magic.
Yeah.
And of course, the book also warns about the dangers
Oh, yeah, they're always dangerous.
of necromancy.
Yeah.
Like what kind of dangers?
Well, they talk about the possibility of summoning a malevolent spirit
Oh, so instead of getting your dearly departed,
Right.
you get something
Get
else.
something nasty.
Yeah, something you didn't bargain for.
Yeah. Something you definitely don't want to mess with.
No.
Yeah.
No. And then, of course, there's the ethical question
Right.
of whether it's even right.
Is it okay to disturb the dead?
To disturb the dead, yeah.
Should we be messing with these spirits?
Right. Like, do they have a right to rest in peace?
Exactly.
And it's interesting because that question is still relevant today.
It is.
Yeah.
We're still debating that.
Even though we don't necessarily believe in necromancy.
Okay.
But it's still this idea of, respecting the dead.
Respecting the dead.
Yeah.
And their boundaries.
And their boundaries, yeah.
And their privacy.
And their privacy. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to another practice that's
Yeah.
a little bit less disturbing, I guess.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay.
Scrying.
Ah, yes. Scrying.
What is that?
So scrying is basically the art of gazing into a reflective surface
Okay.
to try to get visions of the future
Oh, wow.
or to see things that are hidden.
Oh.
So they would use things like mirrors
Yeah.
or crystals.
Right, crystal ball.
Crystal balls, exactly.
Yeah.
Or even just a bowl of water.
It's like a magical peephole
Yeah.
into the unknown.
Into the unknown, yeah.
Wow.
And the book describes all sorts of preparations.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like incantations you have to recite
Okay.
and specific times and places that are best for scrying.
So it's not just, staring into a mirror.
No, it's a whole process.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what were they hoping to see?
Yeah, what were they trying to achieve?
Was it just curiosity?
Right.
Or were they trying to gain some kind of advantage?
Like trying to see the future so they can make better decisions.
Exactly. Or maybe spy on their enemies.
Spy on their enemies. Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just about predicting the future.
No, it seems like it had a lot of different applications.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they talk about using scrying to find lost objects.
Like, that's interesting.
Yeah, or to communicate with spirits.
So it's almost like a multi-purpose tool.
Yeah, it was like a Swiss Army knife of magic.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, you could use it for all sorts of things.
So we've got all these different practices,
Mm-hmm.
conjuration, necromancy, scrying.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But it seems like they all have something in common.
What's that?
This desire to control the unseen world.
Yeah, to tap into these hidden forces.
Right.
And to use them for their own purposes.
Yeah, to shape their own destiny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're trying to hack the universe.
Yeah, like find the cheat codes.
Yeah, find the back doors.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
And it's fascinating to think about,
It is.
how they went about doing that.
Right. Yeah, like what were their methods?
And what did they believe was possible?
Yeah, yeah.
And it makes you wonder if maybe there's something to it.
Right, like maybe they were on to something.
Maybe they knew things that we've forgotten.
Yeah.
Or that we've dismissed.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about the tools and the rituals,
Mm-hmm.
the hierarchy of spirits.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And even the darker side of ceremonial magic.
The stuff that keeps you up at night.
Yeah, the stuff that makes you wonder if maybe we're better off not knowing.
Exactly.
But I guess the question is,
Mm-hmm.
what does it all mean?
Yeah. What can we learn from all of this?
Right, like what's the takeaway here?
Well, I think one thing that's clear is that the belief in magic was very real to these people.
This wasn't just some game to them.
No, this was their life.
This was their reality.
This is their reality.
Yeah.
And it was a way for them to make sense of the world.
Right, to understand the forces.
Yeah, the forces that were beyond their control.
Yeah, that they couldn't see or touch.
But that they believed were very real.
Yeah, and that could affect their lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like we're looking through a window into a different worldview.
Right, a different way of thinking.
Yeah, where the supernatural wasn't something to be afraid of.
Right, it wasn't something to be dismissed.
It's something to be embraced.
Embraced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be studied.
And to be harnessed.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, the spells and the rituals.
No, it's about the power of belief.
The power of belief.
Yeah, and the way that our beliefs
Right.
shape our reality.
Shape our reality. Yeah.
And I think that's something we can all relate to.
It is, yeah. Because we all have beliefs that shape our lives.
Right, whether we realize it or not.
Exactly.
And those beliefs can either empower us or they can limit us.
Right. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And we've seen that, these beliefs can be used for good
Mm-hmm.
or for evil.
Yeah, it all depends on the intention.
Right, the intention of the person wielding that power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important lesson
It is, yeah.
that we can take away from all of this.
Like power itself is neutral.
It is.
It's how we use it.
Yeah, it's up to us to decide how we use it.
Yeah. And that's true whether we're talking about magic or technology
or anything else.
or anything else. Yeah. It's all about responsibility.
Exactly. So I think that's something to keep in mind as we continue to explore this world.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we talked a lot about the ins and outs of ceremonial magic. We've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly.
The light and the shadow.
Yeah, the light and the shadow.
Yeah.
But I think it's time to start wrapping things up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's next?
So where do we go from here? I mean, we've spent all this time talking about ceremonial magic.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's something that, for a lot of people might seem
Like fantasy?
like fantasy. Yeah, like something out of a movie.
Right.
But
And
as we've seen,
it was very real.
it was very real to the people who practiced it.
Yeah, and it gives us this really interesting perspective
Yeah.
on human nature.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, I think it shows us how much we crave control.
Okay.
How much we want to shape our own destinies.
Yeah, we don't like feeling powerless.
Right, exactly.
And I guess, in a way, these magicians were just taking that desire
To the extreme.
to the extreme, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, instead of just hoping for things to get better,
Right.
they actually believed that they could make it happen.
Through magic.
Through magic, yeah.
Wow.
And I think there's something admirable about that.
Like,
Well, that level of conviction, that belief that they could actually change things.
yeah, that's powerful.
That's a powerful thing.
And maybe there's a lesson there for all of us.
Yeah, maybe we could all use a little bit more of that.
A little more belief in ourselves.
Belief in ourselves, yeah.
Or in our ability to make things happen.
Exactly.
But of course, we also have to be careful.
Right, because that power can be misused.
Right. It's like a double-edged sword.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the grimoires are full of warnings.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, about the dangers of using magic for selfish reasons.
So it's not just about having the power.
No, it's about using it wisely.
Using it wisely, yeah.
Yeah, and ethically.
Ethically, right?
Yeah,
So it's a balancing act.
it is. It is.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's relevant to us today
Yeah, absolutely.
because we have so much power at our fingertips.
More than ever before.
More than ever before, yeah.
And we have to be careful how we use it.
Right. Like with technology, for example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can use it to connect with people,
Yeah.
to learn new things,
To build communities.
to make the world a better place.
But we can also use it to spread misinformation, to manipulate people,
Cause harm.
to cause harm. Yeah.
So it's up to us to decide
Right. What side we're going to be on.
exactly how we're going to use this power that we have.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's safe to say that we've been on quite a journey.
We've gone deep.
We're going deep, yeah, into this world of ceremonial magic.
Yeah. We've seen the light and the shadow,
The light and the shadow.
the good and the bad,
The good and the bad.
and everything in between.
And everything in between, yeah.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listener to take away?
Well, I would say this. The human imagination is a powerful force.
It really is.
It can shape our beliefs, our actions, and ultimately our reality.
But like any powerful force,
It needs to be guided by wisdom,
you're right.
compassion, and a strong moral compass.
Yeah, we have to use it for good.
We do. We have a responsibility.
And I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I agree.
So to our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning,
Keep learning.
keep learning, and keep diving deep.
And if you're interested in learning more about ceremonial magic,
Yeah.
the book Ceremonial Magic is a great place to start.
Just be prepared for a wild ride.
It's a fascinating journey.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Until next time, everyone.
Stay curious.